Perpetual motion has never been developed in the laboratories of science. Most machines break down within months of continuous operation. But one marvelous pump will generate tremendous power for almost 100 years without a single shutdown. I'll be back in a moment with the amazing facts about the company that makes it. Hello, this is Joe Cruz and the Amazing Facts broadcast, facts which affect you. Today we continue the study of our incredible body machine and how it refutes the unscientific theory of evolution. The assumption that our complicated body system, accidentally developed through the random process of time and nature, requires more faith than ordinary people can muster. In fact, I think only the evolutionist seems able to believe that such a miracle could be worked without any intelligent design or guidance. Now today I want us to think about the lungs of the human system, friends. We've been thinking about the different parts of the body that could never be duplicated by man's greatest scientific genius. And I think the lungs is a perfect example of this. Every hour that we're at rest, they carry in and out of the body 1,500 gallons of air. That will increase by 20 times if there's strenuous exercise by an individual. There are air passages, of course, from the nose to the lungs to carry these gallons of air, and these passages are lined with cells which have tiny hair-like processes. Now, these little hairs are always waving, and by their motion they carry out any debris that might try to get into the lungs. In other words, the air we breathe is actually air-conditioned before it gets into our bodies. The lungs are made up of many minute air spaces. 750 million air cells, in fact, are found in the average human lungs. And they have a surface area of 455 square feet. It's hard to believe, friends, but it's true. By the way, smoking will paralyze and destroy those little hair-like brooms, and emphysema results. It's usually, of course, a fatal disease. Did you know smoking is a sin? When you have all the facts about your body and the results of smoking, you'll agree. It's a moral issue. But now, let's come to another part of the body. Let's think about the skin. 18 square feet of it in every person. It's much more complicated than we realize by just looking at the skin of a person. It's a delicate, sensitive structure containing a wonderful thermostatic mechanism. When the outside temperature drops, the network of blood vessels right under the skin begin to contract so that the blood will come to the surface of the body where it will cool and thus chill the whole body. In hot weather, the vessels open up and carry excess heat away, flowing through and actually cooling the body. Thus it keeps the body at a uniform temperature. When the outside temperature goes higher than the inside temperature, another method of nature takes over. I say a method of nature, but of course it's actually a method that God set up. The sweat glands begin to operate. They put out 1 quart of perspiration daily, and this provides an evaporative cooling system, which keeps the body from overheating. A man was subjected to a temperature of 240 degrees for 26 minutes. And by the way, that's enough to cook a big steak. But the temperature of the man did not go over 99 degrees because of his perspiring, which acted as a thermostatic evaporating cooling system. All right, that's a miracle, of course, but now let's think about the kidneys. Small organs of the body weighing only 5 ounces each, but they filter 6 quarts of blood every 80 minutes. They're actually made up of 2 million tiny filters, and the fluid is first forced through these tiny filters under pressure, and then are reabsorbed through 45 miles of tiny tubes having a surface area of 60 square feet. Now, friends, what accident of nature could have provided such a system as that? We fail to understand it. How could anybody be an evolutionist and believe that this happened by chance or accident? All these things are necessary in order to keep the body working and operating. Every one of those little filters is important. The digestive juices of the body are also necessary. There are 35 million glands in the stomach alone which give off 4 different digestive juices. In the 22.5 feet of small intestines, there are other secretions also given off which aid in the successful healthy operation of the body. In one day, 7 1/2 quarts of gastric and intestinal juices are secreted. Well, you know, this reminds us of something God said in His book, friends, in Job 37, verse 14. Hearken unto this, O Job, stand still and consider the wondrous work of God. Yes, I think that's the way we feel too, isn't it, friends? Let's just stand still and marvel at what God has done, not what man has done or what nature has done. By the way, this stomach we've been talking about is greatly affected by the mind. We've come to understand that many diseases are caused by worry. The mind becomes agitated or anxious, and it seems to have a very strange and wonderful influence on the body, and especially on the stomach. A man once suffered a stomach injury, and in repairing the wound, the doctors were able to put a kind of plastic window in so they could observe what went on in the stomach. This man became one of the medical wonders of his time. Never before had medical researchers been able to look right into the stomach and see what happens in the process of digestion. They could see what happened to the walls of the stomach as the food was actually taken in. They noticed this, friends, that when this man became very worried, the stomach lining also became angry-looking and reddish-looking. When the man became very frightened, the walls of his stomach became pale. The blood seemed to leave his stomach. It affected the digestion, too. And if the man became very, very angry, the walls of his stomach almost bled as they became red and irritated. Now, all of this proved that there is a relation between our thinking and our health, between our mind and our body. An even greater wonder, I think, was revealed in the case of a hypnotist who put a man into a mild hypnotic trance. He told this man he was going to burn his arm with the end of a cigarette. Actually, he just took the end of a lead pencil and touched it to the man's arm. But the subject jerked back his arm and screamed. Well, of course, we might expect that to happen, friends, but in a few moments' time, that place where he touched it with a pencil began to swell up and became very inflamed and red. And within 15 minutes, an angry blister had appeared there, and it took quite a long time for that thing to heal. Now, what does this prove? It proves that when this man was actually convinced that he was burned, his mind and body cooperated, and all of the little healing agencies were called to the rescue of the burned spot. So the blister actually appeared. Well, time would fail us to describe the intricate, marvelous wonder of the eyes and the ears. Thousands of nerve messages are carried back and forth to the brain and various parts of the body. The eye, for example, really doesn't see. It's the brain that sees. But from the eye, thousands of little nerves run back to the brain, carrying messages relating to size, color, and so forth. And the brain, in some mysterious way, is able to unscramble all those messages and put them together again to give the impressions that we're actually seeing the object. Thousands of these nerves also run from the ears to the brain. That's a way we hear. A concert piano has about 240 strings and plays from 7 to 7.5 octaves. But within the inner ear, there are 24,000 strings with a keyboard of 100,000 auditory nerves, or cells. And these form a minute resonating piano with a range of over 12 octaves. Imagine, if you can, a piano reduced 100 million times to the dimensions of that little ear piano that's inside of you. Isn't that marvelous, friends? And yet some men say, well, that just happened. It's an accident of nature. It's something that came along through blind chance. Don't you believe that for one moment. Well, what can we say about the nose, this marvelous mechanism by which we smell? Did you know that we also taste with the nose, by smell only? The tongue really doesn't taste for us. It's the nose and its peculiar powers that enable us to taste. The tongue can only detect sweet, salty, sour, and bitter, but the nose can distinguish thousands of different tastes. If the nose is stuffed up by a terrible cold, you try a little experiment, friends. Mix onions and sweet apple, and then blindfold yourself and taste those two things. You'll find they taste exactly the same, a slightly sweetish taste. This proves that you can't taste anything without being able to smell. Now, did these mysterious powers come to us just by chance? Was the development of these delicate parts by pure accident of nature? Oh, no. There's an intelligent reason behind every component of the body. We must agree with the psalmist that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. You remember that's what the psalmist said when he considered the intricate design of the human system. He said we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Yes, we agree with the Bible that man is made in the image of God. But man for 6,000 years now has been departing from that original plan of heaven. No wonder deterioration has come in. No wonder the effects of sin has brought disease and death so quickly and so often. If man had only followed the blueprint of diet and care that God set up in the beginning, I tell you, friends, we could still have a long and healthy life. If people considered the body to be sacred as God describes it in His holy word, they'd be more careful to take care of it, to feed it correctly, to cherish it as the dwelling place of the Holy Spirit. The Creator's purpose is to provide strength and health through the proper care you can give to this body. Yet, what are we doing with the powers of this marvelous body machine? How are we using our strength and our energy? Friends, how often does God have to intervene to save our lives and to heal our bodies? Why has God so often worked miracles to spare us and to save our lives? And the answer is in order that we might glorify Him, in order that the Holy Spirit might come in to dwell in our bodies and in our minds. It would be the very height of folly and disloyalty and disrespect to fail to live for Him after what He's done for us. Friends, today I hope God will indeed bless you and help you to see that this is a miracle of the first degree. And this body God has given to you is a tremendous gift, one of the greatest gifts of all. The gift of life, of course, is something we can't measure in terms of money. So let's take care of it. Let's look upon it as a memorial, a daily living testimony that we've been made in the image of God, and that this doctrine of evolution is nothing but a gross perversion of a wonderful truth. I hope that you've indeed been convinced today as we've studied about these different parts of the body and how they've been so beautifully balanced in their delicate operation. Surely you'll be convinced, my friends, that the theory of evolution is not valid at all, and that this body machine could not have been produced in any manner or means by the operation of blind chance and time and nature. What men call nature really is God. And God, of course, is the one who wants to live in your life. He wants to control that mind of yours with those 10 billion neurons or nerve cells that send messages to all the different parts of your body telling them how to act and function. In fact, some people say that it's not just 10 billion. Some scientists estimate from 10 to 100 billion of these nerve cells that are always giving commands to the rest of the body to act and to function. And now, this is Joe Cruz saying goodbye for today.